To understand math as a whole, we need to understand that mathematics is a study of patterns that we use to understand the universe around us. This is because the world around us, obviously enough, is made up of multiple patterns harmonizing with one another to form bigger and bigger patterns. As stated by Resnick in his book Mathematics as a Science of Patterns, in mathematics, the primary subject matter is not the individual mathematic objects, but rather the structures in which they are arranged. This means that in understanding mathematics, we begin to not only understand the components that make up everything around us, but the hows and whys they are structured and organized the way they are. Now, let's begin with the fundamentals of patterns. There are three types of patterns. Number one, logical patterns. Number two, number patterns. And number three, geometric patterns. For each pattern, there are three ways the shapes and numbers progress. First one is repeating. This is when the subject follow a certain order at which we can use to predict the next in the series. Second is growing. This is when the subject increases in size, number, or detail in a certain rate and way that we can use to predict the next pattern. And third is shrinking. This is when the subjects decrease in size, number, or detail in a certain way that we can use to predict the next in the series. Now, let's begin with the types of patterns. First is logical patterns. These are patterns that allows us to predict what comes next in the series in accordance with the previous letter, number, or patterns. The second is pattern numbers. Just like logical patterns, it allows us to predict what is the next, but this time it's numbers. An example of this would be the multiplication table. This allows us to predict future events such as the equation 1 plus 1, which is 3. But here are a certain few key things to remember when solving number patterns. Number one, operations such as addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division are used to create the sequence of numbers. Number two, not only that, but it can also ask you to root or raise to certain numbers. Number three, the pattern can involve more than one operation, root or rise. So, just keep in mind. Last but not the least, geometric patterns. They are patterns of a picture that constantly evolve as long as it changes in a linear fashion. And because of its linear fashion, we are able to predict the next outcome.